Well, I'm Maria Fernanda Suarez, and I'm from Mexico City. I came to the University of Melbourne to study the Master of Urban Design, but I did my Bachelor of Environment before that, and yeah. I think I chose the University of Melbourne out of a lot of different sort of opportunities that I may have had based on the fact that I didn't necessarily want to do what would have been more normal. Like most people in Mexico would have probably gone to the US just because it's so close and because it's just a bit easier. But especially because of the sort of complicated relationship between those two countries, I sort of felt like what Mexico needs is a sort of different perspective. And if people, like especially people who can learn more and have more knowledge and then come back and sort of apply that, keep going to the same places, you don't really get a change in perspectives or a broadening of horizons and thoughts and things like that. And I thought that going to a place like Australia that is so far and was so sort of foreign to everyone that I sort of spoke to, because, you know, the usual sort of response was, oh, like, that is so far away. I don't think I know anyone who's, you know, even been there, and let alone gone to study there. And I thought that that would have been a really good opportunity, especially because there was interest in Australia to have other people like that. And that's also something that's very different from the US. Like, there is a sort of, not necessarily a stigma, but there is sort of like a, you know, another Mexican, simply because there are a lot. And here, I didn't feel that. I felt like it was more like you were welcomed in the sense that you do offer a different perspective, and they appreciate that. Well, one of the things that I'm looking forward to in, like, while I do my master's is the traveling studios, especially the one to Mumbai, because I am particularly interested in sort of slum clearance and sort of renewal and things like that, because they're very applicable to the places that, you know, I hold dear, like Mexico City and Rio de Janeiro and other sort of Latin American cities like that. And something else is probably my studios. I'm not currently taking any because I'm doing sort of theory subjects, but just sort of studios are a really good way to explore your sort of design capabilities, and sort of it's a more integrated way of learning because it's not only theory but it's also applied. So I'm really looking forward to those as well. I think the advice I'd give international students is that it definitely pays off to do things differently, and that it definitely, like, it does cost a lot, you know, because you are far away from your family and it is a very different sort of environment. But I think that when you continually sort of find ways to push yourself and to broaden, you know, that sort of horizon and to change perspectives, that's when you learn the most, and not necessarily because of a certain lecture or like a course in itself, but because you've chosen to do those things. And that they shouldn't stick to what they know and to what they're comfortable with, and that it's okay to, you know, not exactly do very well in an architecture studio because, you know, you always thought that what you wanted to do was science, but that they should really try to sort of try to do different things. And I think that that's a really good thing of the new sort of Melbourne model way of working, that it does allow students to, and to a certain degree makes them sort of take classes and subjects that are completely different to what they think they want to do, because that helped me realize that I wanted to do urban design, because I came thinking that I was going to do planning. And, you know, because of the studios that I had to take as core subjects of planning, I found out that that wasn't necessarily what was the right fit. And I probably wouldn't have figured that out if I hadn't been exposed to that. I think in 10 years, I really want to be back in Mexico City or in other cities that I've lived in Latin America, and really help sort of push that extra mile of interest in urban renewal and sustainability and slum clearance and things like that. There's a big sort of lack of people who are willing to do that and to write theory and to do research projects and things like that. So I would love to be doing research with the other scholars in Latin America. And, hopefully in conjunction with other universities, especially like Australia and Asia.